Welcome back to another episode of On the Air podcast, where we explore the bold minds shaping up the future of AI, innovation, and technology. Today, I have João Pinto with me, joining from Portugal, a dynamic tech leader driving enterprise transformation at Adidas. As a head of Porto Tech Hub, João leads global teams across Portugal, Spain, Germany, and India, overseeing complex SAP systems, cloud innovation, and power of Adidas at scale. Hi, João. So good to see you today.
Well, same here. Really good to see you again.
What are the top three products in the last in your history of Adidas that you admired from the fan engagement, from the product to market, either the shoe or anything that comes to mind for you from the last 4 years you've been at the company?
I can answer that on a personal perspective. So I always loved Adidas from an early age. I would say it's the brand I always had more sneakers and shoes. When I got into Adidas, I had a lot of pairs already. I really relate to the Gazelles. So the Gazelle is a product that since I was a teenager, I always used, and I really loved it. I still love it nowadays. Now I have, dozens of pairs, different colors. And I see also that changing because we were too restrictive on the combination of colors. And now we actually scaled since the last years, and we have a lot of, bright colors, really good combinations, collaborations. So Gazelle, definitely. Superstar is also something that I relate to because I'm a music fan, and I always related to some of the bands that were actually using the shoe, like Korn, like Run DMC, and others, even Limp Bizkit when I was younger. So I really relate to that shoe. And then I would say running shoes. I think the Evo, it's a really good product. So the last one, I would say it's more recent. I think it is really a success story, and it's a super comfortable shoe, even for people that don't run and like to walk a lot. I think it is a success story on how you can build a really good product in scale.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. I feel like there is a personal component that you love, the brand itself, but also you've been watching innovation at the Tech Hub, and the changes and adoption of AI within your favorite brand. It sounds like a perfect job.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
I remember last time I was visiting you in Porto, and the Tech Hub looks exquisite, amazing. There's so much innovation I already felt a few years ago. I'm sure that right now with AI, there are so many great things that you guys are doing.
Indeed, it was 2 years ago, so you can imagine in 2 years a lot of things evolve, and there's a lot of things we are doing with AI, not only with AI, but with technology itself. And yes, the office continues to be amazing, and we have really that culture still kicking in. So a lot of people also are new in the hub. So also we have this constant flow of new mindsets coming in and supporting us on, pushing us forward in terms of what we are doing with technology.
And it's a fascinating brand, and it's so exciting that today we will explore how AI is driving transformation in athlete development, product creation, and enterprise systems. So let's dive in. I would love to also ask you a personal question. From a personal perspective, what inspired your interest in AI, and how has it shaped your thinking around innovation at Adidas?
Yeah, I'm an engineer, and from an early age, I'm really curious about things and how things work, actually. And from an early, let's say, time, I've been exploring a lot of things around natural languages, but mostly about pattern recognition, even when I was a developer and I was implementing this, decision trees and all of that. Early stages of AI also. That's when I would say I started experimenting AI, early stages of AI, and nowadays definitely after GPT and Copilot, we are using it extensively, not only for corporate matters, but also for documentation and coding. I'm not coding anymore as much as before, for sure, so my role is a little bit different. But it shapes a little bit our way of thinking, and I think it's not only a tech trend. We need to really acknowledge it as something that helps us from being reactive to preventive way more nowadays, and also supports the transitional thinking to more creative minds. I look into innovation through the lens of augmentation. So it helps us actually to be faster to react to certain changes, and it enables us to focus on the real things. So these repetitive tasks that we were used to do, and we spent a lot of time doing it. Nowadays, we actually don't spend as much time doing those because AI supports us doing. So I think in a way, we are not as much lost as before on this complexity of organizational documentation and processes, because we have more spare time to focus on innovation and actually, doing things that make more sense.
Absolutely. That the perspective is clear when you have assistants, AI assistants doing the work that you actually can outsource, right? And focus on real things and really changing the feel for sports and athletes, and really helping shape the next generation of athletes. And with that, I have a question. How is Adidas leveraging AI to enhance athlete development, both in performance optimization and also in injury prevention?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think on injury prevention, our focus is more on how we can build products to avoid that injury is happening more often, or how can we reduce the risk of injury. So it's kind of related on how we develop products. And that's been something we've been investing a lot on the last years. We have our internal AI teams, but also analytics team. We've built all of our frameworks and infrastructure from a data point of view. And basically, we are building data sets and data products for product development and athlete development. So what we do more and more is actually we bring our athletes to our centers. We develop the product with them in the centers. We collect a lot of data, and even the coaches of those athletes prefer now to come to our facilities and actually train there for 1 week and have those reports super fast in their hands, because they feel that this is way more than they can get anywhere else. So that's everyone wins. Like, the athlete understands how he could actually improve from a performance point of view, but also we collect all of those metrics and how the athletes react to our products and the fabrics and everything that we are changing, either on the shoe or in the apparel or t-shirt or whatever. And that's a win-win, definitely. And it gets us back to our roots, because that's actually how Adidas actually started, like developing the best possible product for the athlete. And that's the motto nowadays: get back to our roots, develop the best product in the world for the athletes, and then scale from there. And of course, bring it to street fashion and those trends.
No, this is great. And I remember that when I was living in Eastern Europe, I called it Adidas, which is the real name, actual name. And in the US, we call it Adidas. I don't know how it happened. Do you remember the story? What happened with the different endings of the how we say it?
Yeah, I think you're correct. So the right name is Adidas, because it comes from Adi Dassler, the founder.
Oh, that's right.
But the different accents, history also makes it, let's say, his move, the move there. So a lot of different people have different, ways of saying it, but the original name is actually Adidas.
Nice, got it. So I have a question for you. I think from the beginning, your hub really was focusing on innovation, right? And making a difference in the culture, people that are coming, athletes, engagement. I wanted to ask you, how do you really stay focused with the teams on innovation, how you cultivate innovation? Is there top 3 secrets that to make this hub successful and keep you guys going, and the engagement with athletes and other areas with cultural teams?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because when you visited us, we were still, let's say, on the hype and on the honeymoon of being completely new, in scaling the teams. So everyone was new, and we were building that culture also, of course, building on the culture that was already there, because Adidas exists in Porto as a business center for more than 15 years now. We were the new kids on the block, the first area outside of GBS, so outside of business. And of course, we have different ways of being, different mindset, but we were really proud and we created a really good community that was sharing a lot of things. So from day one, what we did was to make sure that even though that we were too much fragmented, so we had more than 20 product teams, different technologies, different tech stacks, working sometimes in silos, their own projects, but we made sure that there was a common ground that everyone was actually sharing. So we created a lot of routines for people actually to be together, open door sharing sessions and all of that. And that contributed actually to, connect the dots. And nowadays what we do is we no longer think about scalability and hiring more and more and grow. It's more about skill sets and how we elevate ourselves as a center and being, one of the principal locations for Adidas for innovation and drive the company forward. And we have this mindset of, under one roof, and under one roof with already 900 people, how can we actually be a little bit better? Of course, it's not 900 in tech. We continue to be 150 or even less than that. But overall, we can leverage definitely that, the subject matter experts from business that know the processes are sitting next to us. And, innovation gets faster when everyone is actually collaborating together. And another thing we do is to foster cross, changes from people that are in the business side. So lateral moves from business to tech and vice versa. So we create a lot of opportunities for growth within the center, and that helps us a lot. Definitely when people know, the both sides and can see the bigger picture, and that definitely helps us a lot.
Absolutely. No, it sounds great, and it sounds like you also transforming some skill sets. Do you have any AI roles that are coming in, AI prompters, AI architects, or every role that you have at Adidas have AI component, but not necessarily the titles?
No, we have those teams actually partially sitting in Porto, just focusing on AI, machine learning, data analysts. So we have part of our tech setup actually is constituted by DNA teams, and they are working for the products. We have, for example, one team that is working for brand creation, so they create specific data sets for this. Also, some of them work with the digital team on the digital content creation. So we have a variety of, let's say, skill sets, as I was saying, under one roof, and we leverage everything that we have from a skill set point of view. And we will continue definitely to develop. That's our goal. And I think what makes us a little bit different from other locations is that we actually try to look ahead and how we can enable everything that is around us on the ecosystem with other companies, with the universities, and push us also forward, bringing, those talents, but also some knowledge sharing and benchmarking with other companies, and not just say, we are Adidas, we are the best in the world. I don't care what you're doing, right? We foster a lot of things like sharing with other companies around us, and not, saying it's a complete secret what we are doing. We even have frameworks that we develop in-house, and then we will open source. We put it as available to everyone. That's the spirit. I think there's no secret to it. It's just having the right mindset and putting things into action rather than being just theoretical about things and being stuck on the corporate complexity. We try to put things in action. And also related to your question, so it is a hard thing to actually push innovation when you have so many things to deliver. And I think within the tech world, everyone feels that. So in my specific case, so as you said, I lead global teams. We are really involved in transformation projects, specifically on SAP. So there's no stop, full delivery. We have a lot of milestones, and then how you actually move from that and make sure that the team still has space to invest in innovation, on exploring things, on doing POCs, on improving what we have, on investing in AI, automation. So that's up to us leaders actually to make it a priority for everyone. And that's, in my case, in many cases, what we do. We actually foster that people have the time to do it. I can give you one example that we started in Port, and I hope we can scale. So we thought about exactly this fragmentation that we have and how we can bring, opportunities for people in Porto that are having really good performance within their teams, and how we can leverage their talent and bring their skill sets together to solve problems that business still has on the ground there. And what we did was to create a program where for 6 months we put groups of people, high talents and high potentials working together. We picked up topics that business is struggling with still, and they are solving those problems with solutions, actual solutions. They will deliver, and with that we also give them specific trainings for them to evolve also and to grow. So that's one of the things. It's called Tech Connect Lab, and it's basically it shows them that the power of connections within the company. So they need to explore, they need to understand who is the subject matter expert, knock on many doors, understand where the documentation is. And that also exposes the business side, because most of the times an AI actually is something that enables companies if the really basic things are there. Like, you need to have structured data, you need to have documentation, because AI is not the silver bullet that you apply and magically things happen, right? And people need to perceive that. So it's good that you always have people challenging that you need to start with having your documentation, your data, right, really well structured, and then AI would support you. And that's the journey. And sometimes people don't actually understand that, right?
Yeah, for sure. I'm hearing great things about how success is shaped in your tech hub. It's about open communication, really connecting people with business ideas, and how do you translate it into actionable development, right? And they're hands-on working on those projects, really thinking through what data they need, data sets to actually do this POC and show the business the value. So it sounds like there is a great culture that you cultivated that really creates that open space, open communication, empowers people, have them really think about what's in it there for the business side. And question, you mentioned a little bit about brand creation. So I'm really curious to see how AI is transforming product creation at Adidas, from design to testing to market readiness. What has changed and how it's really enhancing the fan engagement and athlete engagement?
Yeah, I touched a little bit on it already. I think what changed compared to some years ago was we always tried to make the product scalable and to have a market fit. And that cycle was too long for us sometimes. So it took us 2 years, 3 years actually to launch a product. So it's scalable and it's profitable and you have the right margins. And what we started to do, as I said, we started to develop it with the athletes. And even when it's a prototype, we actually give it to the athletes to go and run a marathon. And then they break the record with that shoe, even it's a prototype. And you can see it, for example, on the running. It's a really good example. So we have many of our athletes breaking records, and we started to have this, this picture of everyone writing the record on the sole of the shoe, like a signature mark. And that, of course, creates a lot of hype. And then you also put the shoe in the market still being at an insane price. And, everywhere people were buying the shoe. So it was completely sold out, even though that was super expensive. And even for us, it was not profitable enough. But then you create the hype and you actually position yourself as the best in the market because you have the shoe that is breaking the records. And then while this is happening, we are, of course, developing technology to make it more scalable and affordable for everyone. That's what we've been doing. And you see the Evo shoes that are now a hot shoe in the market was actually one of those examples. I think that's the narrative that changed. And it's actually working. And I think it's the right thing to do, on making sure that we have all of these data points and we develop the product as fast as we can.
Yeah, it sounds like you reshaped the way, the speed to market by really having early engagement and finding how do you connect with the fan, and fan engagement is important, right? Because I've been watching some of the products lately coming out, and the kids and teenagers, that big hype that they create over it. And I always wanted to know, how did they turn it around so quickly with a go-to-market strategy, with the prices that are insane, and kids are begging their parents to save for this particular shoe. So it's phenomenal. Thanks for sharing. And from your perspective, where do you think all the brands that are really like the old standing brands with great names are going to go in the next few years, where everything is changing? We have Generation Z, we have the young souls are starting, that maybe they don't know some of the brands, but everything has to be adapted to this new generation.
Yeah, it's a $1 million question, because honestly, it's hard to predict what will happen. What we see is that many brands are showing up and actually competing out there with the top players in many markets. So you see it in China, you see it in Japan, you also see it in Europe. I think new brands will show up because it's easier actually nowadays for companies with the usage of technology to develop great products. And then also you have so many channels with social media and media actually supporting. So it's easier, I would say, not easy, but easier actually to scale and to promote your products and become viral really quick. But that also creates a challenge that you can, in 1 year you scale and you are, phenomenal, but then you don't have additional products and actually you cannot continue this hype, and then you disappear. I think this will continue, and I think us as one of the main players with a huge history, we can of course leverage on our history and bring back a lot of things that we had on the 80s or the 90s, and this is fashionable. So this is something that people relate to. It starts with that, with history and people actually relating to a product that they feel has the right quality, and it's always been there for them. Not saying that you don't need to be creative. Of course, we need to continue to develop these products, the technologies, and as I said, so first being the best sports brand in the world, but then create the hype around it and scale to fashion and streetwear. I think that's the direction we are going, definitely.
No, it's great. It's like what you're saying is that you backed up by a long history and maturity of the brand that really went through so many iterations, and you have the different levels and different age groups that really know the brand. And if you have to pivot, TikTokers and YouTubers, and you have the hype, and you also bring the maturity of the brand, and that could stay longer, because I always ask how these small brands that are really hyping up with all the dirt bikers and people that are just doing the hype, and the quality is not there, how do they going to survive? It's just the hype. But you said it perfectly. It's the brand and also adoption, and you looking at different channels where you actually have to adapt to each category of your fans, right?
Right. And I think something that we need to really invest, because that's something we lost throughout the last years, is the brand is super strong. We have our own channels, but then we also have a lot of retailers, wholesalers, and all of that. Also on the web we are strong on e-com, but we depend a lot on marketplaces, and we need to be stronger there. So if you go into a multi-sports store like JD or Foot Locker, we are not having the presence that we should have as number one. Mm-hmm. So that's also something that we need to invest over and over and make sure that we are perceived as number one, right?
Absolutely. Well, I look forward to seeing you in Porto next time I'm there. I want to see how everything changed. It was beautiful when I saw it. So can't wait to see you again. And thank you so much for joining our podcast. It was really nice hearing your thoughts.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for the invitation. I'm looking forward to see you here in Porto or somewhere else.
Absolutely. Thank you.